During their investigation of the Titanic shipwreck, researchers made a peculiar discovery. While the front section of the vessel resting on the ocean floor appeared to be in relatively good condition, the rear portion, situated approximately 2,000 feet away, exhibited significant deterioration. Typically, iron and steel degrade over time due to rusting on the seabed. However, given that both segments originate from the same vessel and sank simultaneously, the stark contrast between their conditions poses a perplexing mystery. Researchers hypothesize that on the fateful night of the Titanic's demise, an additional event transpired beyond the collision with the iceberg. This secondary incident likely inflicted more extensive damage to the rear of the ship. The central question lingering is, what precisely occurred during that elusive something else? Viewers, in 1912, on that fateful night when the Titanic collided, the ship was situated 700 kilometers away from Newfoundland, Canada, isolated in the vast dark sea. At the time of the incident, there were a total of 2,240 people on board. Sadly, 1,500 lost their lives. The ship, once deemed unsinkable, succumbed swiftly to the dark depths of the sea in the face of nature's power. The sole witnesses to this tragedy were those who managed to leap from the ship into the frigid waters of the Atlantic Ocean. Everything that occurred from the iceberg collision to the ship's sinking had no recorded account except from these eyewitnesses, who were grappling with the cold water themselves. The RMS Carpathia, the first rescue ship, arrived about an hour and a half after the Titanic sank. Luckily, they received the emergency message from the Titanic, or those struggling in the cold water might not have made it. Plus, nobody would have known about the Titanic disaster. Initially, during the investigation, nobody had a clue about what happened to the ship. Survivors eventually revealed that the Titanic had collided with an iceberg. This was confirmed when investigators observed the iceberg at the scene, still bearing traces of Titanic's red paint. The investigation report concluded that the iceberg had left a whopping 300-foot hole on the right side of the Titanic, tearing open about a third of the ship's entire side. However, an eyewitness claimed it took almost 2.5 hours for the ship to sink. Investigators were puzzled because if the iceberg had caused such a massive hole, the Titanic should have sunk much faster. The truth remained elusive at that time. Finding the Titanic became crucial to uncovering the truth. The search spanned many years, and with each passing year, the mystery deepened. Finally, after 73 years, the discovery of the Titanic wreck marked a significant breakthrough for the marine industry. It was time to unravel the mysteries left by the Titanic. Resting 4,000 meters below the surface in the Atlantic Ocean, the Titanic wreckage lay in complete darkness for decades. Numerous expeditions aimed to capture photos of the shipwreck. P.H. Nargeolet, an oceanic explorer, visited the Titanic wreck over 30 times, but never spotted the alleged 300-foot hole. A profile photo of the Titanic revealed a 30-foot area suggesting impact. This area covered only 11 square feet, capable of accumulating around 370 gallons of water inside the Titanic every second. Calculations hinted that the entire ship could have filled with water in about 2.5 hours, matching the eyewitness accounts of the sinking duration. This discovery debunked the myth of a 300-foot hole. Instead, there was a 30-foot crack. However, this solved only one mystery, leaving plenty more to uncover. Investigators were puzzled by the contrasting conditions of the ship's front part, bow, and back part, stern. Why was the bow in better shape? And why was there such a significant distance between the two sections? The quest for answers continued. Cutting-edge sonar scanning technology played a crucial role in unraveling this mystery. Utilizing remotely operated vehicles, hundreds of thousands of images were captured at the Titanic's shipwreck site. These images were then transformed into a detailed 3D model using computer graphics, revealing intricate details that are beyond the capability of a standard camera or the human eye at such depths. The 3D model exposes a unique arrangement of the 392 feet long stern, where all the decks appear nested within each other, resembling more of a paper structure than a steel ship. Various parts that detached from the ship are strewn around, with only 2 house-sized engines still attached. Importantly, The model discloses a significant clue regarding the stern's condition. Traces left on the ocean floor 114 years ago, visible only through the 3D model, indicate that when the stern made contact, it created marks suggesting a counterclockwise rotation. These marks provide insight into the stern's descent at a speed of 80 kilometers per hour. As the rear section submerged rapidly, the water's forces caused loose parts of the ship to break apart. Upon reaching the ocean floor, situated 4 kilometers below, all the decks of the Titanic converged into one another. In contrast, the hydrodynamic design of the bow section allowed it to effortlessly cut through the water, much like a ship navigating by parting the water as it moves. The bow section didn't experience rotation, nor did it face direct water forces. This revelation solves another mystery from 110 years ago. However, a lingering question remains. When did the Titanic split into 2 parts? Despite eyewitness accounts claiming the ship broke into 2 before sinking, it's only partially accurate. When the bow section submerged, the entire weight of the stern section pressed down on the pivot point, or the center. Unable to bear the excessive weight, the center point broke, leading to the separation into 2 parts. Contrary to previous assumptions, the 3D model generated through sonar scanning paints a different picture. The equipment within the Titanic is strewn extensively across the ocean floor, encompassing coffee cups, dinner plates, chandeliers, deck benches, and personal belongings. Remarkably, around 90% of these items pertain to the stern section, totaling over 10,000 items scattered across an area roughly 3.2 square kilometers. If the stern section had separated from the bow section above water, the debris would not have dispersed over 3.2 square kilometers upon reaching the ocean floor. It would have covered an even larger area. This is evident in the accompanying animation. Consequently, experts now propose that the separation occurred above water, but as the section descended towards the ocean floor, it changed direction while rotating, ultimately landing about 2,000 feet away from the bow section. Presently, the RMS Titanic structure is entirely corroded. Scientists attribute this corrosion to the scarcity of oxygen at ocean depths, resulting in a slow rusting process. However, when samples of rust were extracted and examined, it was revealed that bacteria-generated oxygen contributes to the rusting. Experts predict that, given the current rate of corrosion, in the coming years, all the decks of the Titanic will collapse onto each other, leading to the permanent loss of its original form.